Hi, so I'm going to be talking about my strategy that I chose and then how I implemented this into the lesson that you'll see after this. So I had syntax surgery, and what this is having a sentence that's completely out of order and having the students change that sentence so it is in the appropriate order that it needs to be read in, and having them identify the noun, verb, adjective, which is what my lesson was about, just knowing those three parts of speech. And I did this by reading The Three Little Bears with them, since there is a lot of those adjectives and a good way to mix up those sentences and them still be able to figure that out and identify these parts of speech. So as a class, we did read the story, and then following, I did split them into groups randomly, counted off by threes, but ensuring that those students who are English language learners were in separate groups. So if they did have questions or were unsure about anything, that they're able to ask questions and not feel confused like altogether, where they are separate and able to ask their group members. And this goes for everyone in the class. Having them into the groups is allowing them to bounce off their ideas with each other, allowing them to not feel unsure of the topic and not having to ask in front of the entire class, rather than being able to ask maybe a team member where they're confused about, and being able to work through it as the group. So from these groups, we made this into a game. So it's fun for them, they're learning the information, and they're able to build that confidence for it. So following the reading, they're in these groups, and I have a sentence behind me on the board. And then it's going to be out of order. I think I did like 2 words out of order, so it wasn't too much for them at the beginning, learning this different strategy. And they're going to write this sentence on a separate piece of paper that they have provided to them, using that syntax surgery to fix it, and then putting it onto a whiteboard to hold up once they're done. And I did the whiteboard because not everyone is going to see it. So if they were to get it wrong, it's just discreetly letting them know, rather than them raising their hand, writing it on the board in front of everyone, and then getting it wrong and feeling discouraged about the topic. Like I said, we want to give them that confidence to learn that information, and leaving the lesson knowing, okay, I can do this for like future use of it. And then the English language learners, I want to, if I were to have this in a classroom, I would focus on trying to call them up to the board if they got this right, to write it under the the incorrect sentence. And by doing this, it is allowing them to know that they did this or did learn the concept of this lesson, and being able to leave it knowing that they can do this. They can do it individually, they can do it with the group. It's just building that confidence so they feel better about it and not confused or discouraged about it. But you'll kind of see it a little bit, like a little glimpse of it, in the next clip. Good morning, everyone. We're going to be talking about nouns, verbs, and adjectives today. Does anybody want to tell me what a noun is? A person, place, or a thing. Good job. How about a verb? An action word that you can do. Awesome. How about an adjective? A describing word. Good. So today we're going to be reading The Three Little Bears. And in this story, there's many different adjectives in it. So I want you all to listen, because at the end, I'm going to ask you what type of adjectives you heard. All right, so what adjectives did we hear? I want to hear 3 of them. So for the first one, hot. Good. How about a second? Cold. All right, one more. Soft. Good job. So now I'm going to put you into 3 different groups, And we're going to play a game in these groups, and I'm going to be putting sentences that are out of order on the board behind me. And you're going to work in these groups to put it in the correct order, and then you're going to write those on your whiteboard. And when you're finished, you're going to hold that up, and then if you get it correct, you get a point for your team. And then I'll be picking someone who got it right to write the correct sentence under the incorrect one on the board. And then as a class, we're going to identify the noun, adjective, and verb. So I'm going to count off by threes, and then you'll go into those groups. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Can group 1 go over here? We'll have group 2 in the middle, and then group 3 over here. So go ahead and get in those groups, and then I'm going to put the first sentence on the board. I'll give you all a minute to work with your group to get the correct one on your whiteboard. When you're finished, hold it up. All right, so you should have something on your paper that looks similar to this, and then it looks like each group got it in the correct order on your whiteboard, so you each get a point. And then does someone want to come up and write it on the board? All right, Jonathan, go ahead. All right. So can we identify the noun, verb, and adjective? So what's the noun? Chair. Good job. How about the adjective? Soft. So the chair was soft. How about that verb? This one's a little bit tricky. Was. Good job, guys. All right, so now that we've finished all of our sentence, how are we feeling about nouns, verbs, and adjectives? You feeling good? Awesome. So tomorrow we'll come back into grammar and we'll talk a little bit more about this, and then we're going to move on.